we mentioned this lawsuit that's happening in Frankfort, Indiana. My hometown, kind of. I'm a hot dog. I graduated from Frankfort High School. They have a 24-year-old mayor, Chris McBarnes. He's been on this show, I believe, 2 or 3 times. But anyway, there was a rape that happened in Frankfort. There is a federal lawsuit claiming that the police conspired to cover up this rape. Now there's a federal lawsuit filed. It also names Mayor Chris McBarnes in the lawsuit. Chris McBarnes went on, to be honest here, when I first heard it, I thought it was on like a local church hour, evangelical hour. But apparently it was just his normal radio appearance on a small community radio station. But in this tape, and I'll play it here in a minute, and you can decide. You can decide what he says and what he doesn't say. But to me, the average layperson, I'm more than average, it sure sounds like he is comparing this lawsuit in federal court, a civil lawsuit claiming a conspiracy and police cover-up of this young lady's rape, to a frivolous ambulance chasing slip and fall lawsuit. So apparently he does not take rape very seriously in the town of Frankfort. So we're going to play that here in a minute. I play, you decide. Is that taken? No, that's you report. We report and you decide. Bottom of the hour, I have Pete Seat. Pete is the former White House spokesman, current Indiana GOP communications guru. He will join us, as he does every Tuesday. Hour number 2 today, I have former Major League pitcher John Rocker. That's right. John Rocker is joining us to talk about his new book and his work with military veterans. Then finally today, we're going to wrap it up with the Gary Snyder Show Political Roundtable. I have Brian Tupper, Matthew Stone, and John Easter. John, of course, the host of the John Easter Show right here on Indiana Talk. So that's what I have in store for you today. But let's get back to Frankfort, Indiana. I'm going to play you some audio that, again, when you hear this, you almost think that you're listening to Evangelical Hour on the local radio station, not someone answering a question about being named in a federal lawsuit regarding rape. So we'll play this. I'll stop periodically. It's about 3 minutes long. And I will stop periodically and offer commentary. And if you have any comments on this, by all means, give me a call, 260-355-5151. All right, here is part of this clip. Frankfort Mayor Chris McBarnes. Listen to this, and again, we'll stop periodically and make our some comments on this.
Answer questions.
We do have a caller that wants to know. I'm going to read this question as it came in.
Yes.
They want to know what you can say about the lawsuit with the mayor being named as a defendant, a.k.a. police rape case.
Sure. Elaine, out of respect to the judicial process, I cannot comment on pending litigation, out of respect to the judicial process.
All right. Fair enough. Hey, he's being sued. His attorneys have said, shut up, don't say anything about it. I think we can all agree on that, correct? Let's continue.
I will say this, though.
Wait a minute. You just said you couldn't comment. But let me say that I guess that goes to the old adage, what is it? Oh, this is what I'm saying, but this is what I really mean. All right, go ahead, Mayor McBarnes.
I am not a bitter person, and I'm not letting my heart get hardened through the process. You know, I know the God that I serve says, in all things, love. Edify everyone you can. And to all the people that are affected by this situation, I commend to them Romans 14, verse 13.
All right, how many of you are aware of Romans 14, verse 13? I wasn't. Sorry. This is not Bible hour here on the Gary Snyder Show. I understand that. So I pulled up Romans 14, verse 13. And it does say, let me read this. And this comes from the BibleGateway.com. Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in the way of brother or sister. So he's saying, hey, don't judge anyone here.
And that's what I commend to them. Once the judicial process is over with, I will be happy to sit down once I am legally allowed to.
Okay. Now this is where I take up my first issue. Did you hear that? When I am legally allowed to. Let me play it again.
I will be happy to sit down once I am legally allowed to.
Now, I guess my question is it illegal for him to comment on a civil case where he's being sued? Because he's implying that it is illegal for him to comment on this case. Am I right? Let me play it again so you can hear.
I will be happy to sit down once I am legally allowed to.
Now, I understand if your attorneys say, okay, listen here, Mayor McBarnes, you're being sued. You're named in this federal lawsuit along with your police department, alleging conspiracy to cover up a rape of a young lady. We don't want you talking about this. Don't go out there and make public statements, give interviews on it. I understand that part. They are advising him to keep his trap shut. But is there a law that's, there's no gag order on this. Is there a law out there that says he cannot comment? Is he legally bound not to? Would he be facing jail time if he spoke about a civil case he's involved in? I'm just asking here. I don't think there is. So for him to say when he can legally do so, let's play it again real quick.
I will be happy to sit down once I am legally allowed to.
Okay, so who is legally telling him he can't do it? What law is saying that he cannot sit down and talk about this? Because he sure talked a lot about it before the lawsuit was filed. Okay, that's issue number one. He's telling the public that, hey, I can't talk about this because the law says I can't. I am in legal jeopardy if I talk about this. Let's continue, Mayor McBarnes.
And speak to the this certain matter in more detail, but until that time comes, Elaine, I cannot comment on that litigation.
Okay, and I suspect the police, the prosecutor, and everybody will have that same comment that we have never, to my knowledge, had people speaking about open litigation.
No, and you know, Elaine, being the CEO of an organization, you know, and Mr. Casper, I'm sure can relate to this, you know.
Has Mr. Casper ever been named as a defendant in a rape cover-up civil lawsuit? I don't know, Mr. Casper. Maybe you can answer that. Do you love the commentary here? All right, continue on, Mayor McBarnes.
this is the world we live in, and, you know, the buck stops with me, and I completely embrace that. And there have been dozens of things that have come across my desk in the past year from guys like Ken Nunn and different attorneys, you know, people falling in the parks. I'm always listed in those, and again, I can't speak to those because they are being litigated. And
You know, when I heard this last night, when I listened to this for the first time, I literally sat there and scratched my head. You have a young lady that was brutally raped. You have a police department that covered up a rape to protect baby daddies and campaign contributors. And he's comparing this to a slip and fall in the park. Hey, the people at, someone slipped and fell at the park. They're suing me too. It's no big deal. It's just frivolous. Am I the only one that heard that there? Am I the only one that really heard that there? Let me play it again for you. Listen closely.
And Nunn and different attorneys, you know, people falling in the parks. I'm always listed in those, and again, I can't speak to those because they are being litigated, and I have a respect for that judicial process.
Now this.
All right. Am I just imagining things here? Or does this 24-year-old mayor of Frankfort not understand the gravity of the situation with his police department, his police chief, his administration, comparing it to someone slipping and falling in the park? And you know what? One thing that I haven't heard yet, one thing that I have not heard so far in the first minute 36 of this interview, or this answer, is the word justice. Have not heard it. Where is the justice for this young lady? Have you heard it yet? I haven't. Maybe it'll come here in the last minute or so.
This is a personal question, and I am asking you as a person. Doesn't it get frustrating sometimes when you can't talk about things, when what you want to do is say, listen, this is how I feel about it, or this is my side of it? Yeah. Is it frustrating for you?
Well, absolutely, Elaine. You know, when you know the truth of a matter and you can't step back and speak to it, of course it's frustrating. But again, you know, that's where a guy like me, I fall back on my faith, and in all things love. Romans 14, verse 13, edify everyone you can. And, you know, my prayers are with these individuals. I love these individuals, you know, and my prayer for them is that emotionally, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, that they find fulfillment.
Healing.
And healing. Yes. You know, when someone in my community hurts, believe me, I hurt too. And that's what I pray for every single day. And I won't stop doing that.
I appreciate it.
Still didn't hear the word justice. Still did not hear the word justice mentioned once in that 2-minute answer. I now know what Romans 14:13 is. I think he got a little confused, but I know what it is now. I know that he takes this rape cover-up of his police department, alleged rape cover-up of his police department, is about as seriously as he takes a slip and fall in the park. Does this outrage anyone? Does this make anyone really mad? It does me. It does me. Maybe I'm it. I doubt it. But when I listen to that audio of him answering that question, the number one thing that pops to the forefront of my head, my mind, is that A, he doesn't take it seriously. He does not take it seriously that his police department, his detectives, hey, the buck stops with you, McBarnes. He doesn't take it seriously. It seems like this young 24-year-old mayor of Frankfort, Indiana, likes the title of being mayor, likes all the photo ops of being mayor. But when it comes down to being an executive of a city and watching out for its residents, he's an empty suit. I'm only guessing here. You heard the clip. Is there anything else I'm missing out of this? Did I miss anything here? A young lady was brutally raped in your town. Your police department covered it up. You even disciplined one of the detectives. And yet, it's just a slip and fall. That's the way I look at it. I'm telling you what, the residents of Frankfort should be outraged. As a former Frankfort resident, I'm outraged. But hey, elections mean things. I don't know who he ran against. I'm guessing that this 24-year-old mayor, a lot of the people that voted for him were caught up in the ambiance of having a 24-year-old mayor. But when he's faced with a big decision, a crisis, if you will, he's nowhere to be found. He hides behind his desk. Compares this lawsuit to just another slip and fall in the park. That's all it is. Hey, I'm named all the time on these lawsuits. Yeah, that ambulance chaser, Ken Nunn. Hey, he named me in a slip and fall at the park. Bada bing.